Following the death of the Prophet Muhammad, his followers swept out of the Arabian Peninsula into the Near East and across northern Africa, spreading the religion of Islam. The conquerors crossed the Straits of Gibraltar, and for 700 years they ruled all or part of Spain. And among the most impressive legacy of the Moors was a palace in Granada called the Alhambra. It was the last fortress to fall to Ferdinand and Isabella when the Catholic monarchs finally succeeded in reconquering Spanish territory from the Moors. The Alhambra, like many of the buildings left behind by the Moors, was eventually abandoned and allowed to fall into disuse. But it had kind of majestic and mystical character about it. And the beauty of the palace and the imprint of the Moorish presence was so powerful that many legends grew up among the local people about treasures left behind there by the fleeing Moors when they were driven from their homes. Those legends were a magnet for a storyteller like Washington Irving, who is known to us for his stories like Rip Van Winkle and the legend of Sleepy Hollow. In the 1820s, Washington Irving spent time living in the abandoned ruins of the Alhambra Palace with other very poor Spaniards. From his exchanges with the lowly claimants to this palace, Irving put together a series of sketches or stories that he called Tales of the Alhambra. One of these stories I think is useful for us to hear because I think it has some relevance for the readings that we had from scriptures. As Irving tells the story, a small girl of about 12 from a very poor family was playing among the ruins of the palace when she found among the rocks in a ditch a small carved hand of Moorish origin, soon to reveal magic powers. The girl took the find home, and that night in a dream, a beautiful lady appeared to her, revealed the location of a treasure hidden in the walls of the palace, and took a myrtle branch and wrapped it around the girl's head like a crown. When the girl awoke in the morning, she found that the myrtle branch under her pillow was a stock of pure gold and leaves of emeralds. The girl quickly ran to tell her parents, and with her father's help, recovered a large sack of gold Moorish coins from the hiding place in the palace wall where the beautiful lady had told the girl they were hidden. The poor family, of course, thought that this sudden acquisition of wealth would be a great boon to them. As you might guess, it didn't work out that way. Soon all sorts of officials, both public and ecclesiastic, laid claim to the throne or to the treasure for the services rendered, both imagined and real. Finally, one night the family is delivered from its troubles when a particularly unscrupulous friar steals the gold and myrtle branch and the entire sack of gold coins. In Irving's story, it doesn't do the friar any good. The next day, as he flees the city with his stolen hoard, the myrtle branches turn into a dried stick and the sack of gold into a bag of sand. And I'm sure the moral that Irving had in mind was that greed destroys magic. The scripture readings today contrast the kings of Judah, whom Jeremiah condemned as lawless shepherds, with Jesus, who St. Mark says is a shepherd whose heart was moved with pity when he saw the people. In the days of Jeremiah, the prophets found fault with the kings of Israel because instead of protecting the people whom God had entrusted to them, they decided it was more opportune to enrich themselves. They exploited the people for their own satisfaction, raising taxes. The people might be hungry, homeless, or deprived, but the king and his palace surely weren't. And the second point that the prophets had difficulty with was even more sore for them. Worse than the social injustices, which the king either tolerated or was responsible for and fostered, The kings of Judah were not even loyal to their own faith. If it was expedient to ignore the law of Moses for political gain or for monetary gain, or for even nothing more than personal self-satisfactions, the kings of Judah did not hesitate. They considered themselves above and beyond the law. They were, in fact, shepherds who were only interested in enriching themselves. By way of contrast, Jesus tells us that, or St. Mark tells us in his story, that Jesus is an entirely different kind of shepherd. He seeks no personal gain, no monetary advantage, no political power. Jesus' heart was moved with pity for the people. He cared for them, he cured them, he fed them, and above all, St. Mark says, he teaches them about the coming kingdom of God. Implicit in this contrast between these two types of shepherd is the notion that riches don't stand alone when we're trying to decide what is of value. It is what we do with the gifts that we have been given which makes them valuable. The kings of Judah thought they were enriching themselves by stealing from their own people, but like the friar in Irving's story, all their ill-gotten wealth turned into nothing more than dried sticks and a bag of sand. They died impoverished, condemned by their own people for their heartlessness, and cut off from God by their greediness and lack of understanding. Even the poor family in Irving's story found no joy in an unexpected treasure. Afraid because they were so hounded by those who wanted a share of their wealth, they were only able to find peace when the treasure was stolen from them. In contrast to all of that, Jesus does not seek personal gain because Jesus knows, and we should know, that riches do not lie there. Jesus makes it clear that only those things which bring final satisfaction can be counted as riches. And what is that? In Jesus' teaching, human satisfaction is not possible apart from God. That's a reflection of who we are, people that were made in the image and likeness of God. And we will never be satisfied until we return to that God who created and loved us. We were made to share eternal happiness with God, and looking for anything else is bound to lead to disappointment. Should we seek satisfaction elsewhere, should we look for our riches apart from God, I fear that we will find that we've only carried away some dried sticks and a bag of sand.